Alright, welcome to my level for BattleBlock Theater. This will be the last edition of my level before it is submitted. As you can see right here, nothing's been changed here. Except for here, I decided to add a sign there showing that you can use the D key and a directional key to slide tackle. I also added a checkpoint here to make it easier to traverse through the level, so that way you don't have to go through all that again. One of the popular concerns was the fact that it took so long to get to the next checkpoint, which, as you can see, it's after this bubblegum wall and the lasers. So over here you can see that I've already added a sign that says once you get to this area with the water, you can press W to push the boat towards you. What you can also see is that up here instead of all of this row of spikes, I've taken it out and done every other spikes. When we get to that area, I will explain further. So over here, as you can see, there's an addition of the fan. I've also removed the cannon because to many people this cannon was very confusing and it just didn't really make sense to put it there. People didn't know how to deal with it and they were getting a little too frustrated with it. As we go up here, I've added another checkpoint here so that way when you die over here somewhere, you don't just go all the way back to that water. It really messes up with the pacing and people don't like it as well. I've also added fans here, as you can see. They're only in effect when the laser is not there, so that way when the laser does come in the way, you will suddenly move a lot faster, the normal pace, than what you're used to, because as you run towards it, it's stronger and it slows you down more. But once that laser comes in, you go back to your normal speed and it stops the fans from doing its job. I added one here too to essentially slow you down and also mess you up on your timing. Here I've added 3 treadmills, all going to the right, and essentially it's to just make it a little more difficult. Also here you can see that I've swapped the pie and the strawberry location. So one of the things that most people did not want to do is go through that entire spiral of explosive blocks just to get a strawberry when the pie was actually much easier to get. So what I've done is I've made the strawberry something you can get and the pie something you should go out of your way to get. And as you can see, we can go through this once again and get the pie. As you can see, it takes a long time to traverse. And here, nothing's changed with the treadmill. The only treadmills that I've added were these 2. And this checkpoint was also here, nothing's changed. Now the reason why I've made these holes in between the pits is so that the idea was for that most players would avoid the spikes and as a result fall down. But when you fall down, it just puts you back all the way where you don't want to be, which is the first back 2 checkpoints. And then here, nothing has changed. It is still the bubblegum wall, but larger and more difficult because of the huge amount of space you can jump off of. Nothing's changed here. This time, I've added signs. I've added signs to tell you that you should go up and to the right. As you can see up here, I've also added a trigger block because one of the issues was that you could get to the exit area without collecting all 3 of the strawberries, and I didn't even add a way to get out from the exit area, you couldn't retrace it in the previous level, which is an issue. So here we enter the battle phase, which I've added, I think, two more or one more enemy to this, making it quite annoying actually, but I think it's really fun. Either way, it's a free-for-all, and I think it's pretty fun. Nothing much has changed. It's still you still have to get this really annoying cat with the strawberry. And I will show you how to get it after I beat this. Alright, and now we can enter the last part. So before this, I added, and here's also another checkpoint to create less frustration. So here, a lot of people didn't like the mystery blocks because they were jumping around, not knowing where they were going. So I decided to revamp this entire place. As you can see already, there is one laser beam with a trigger block with the trigger on it, and a rock as well. So the idea here is that once you get here, you will push the rock onto the trigger block to open up that trigger. Now, obviously there's nothing here that I could do to stop the player from going back and not completing the level, but I'd assume that most players will know that they should go all the way up for the last strawberry. Here we have two buzz saws that, as you can see, they just travel back and forth. And normally what I would do is you can jump back and forth forever, and obviously I didn't want to make it that simple, so I decided to add a cat on top that throws mines as well. This adds a lot of complications, as you can see, as the mines can also hit you and they also explode. So your goal is to avoid all three things at once while not letting the mines hit you like that and not explode onto you as well. Obviously, once you get to the top, it gets simple. You can get that strawberry and go. So now that you can see that we've placed the rock on the trigger block and we can jump here. Now I've also added a checkpoint here so that if we enter the next area, as you can see, which has not changed, if we ever mess up here, we don't have to go all the way back to that area just to get to the checkpoint again, just to get to the exit area again. As you can see, it gets pretty overwhelming. And that is my level. Thank you for watching.